I had actually come from a broken family. And so it touched my heart to see these kids who had no father, mother, whatever. They don't know where their next meal is going to come from. There's so many kids living on the streets. There's trafficking of young children and so forth. So this just became a burden on my heart to how do we help these kids?
I remember in kind of in my beginning part of it in 2001, being in a children's home, working with a leader who was bringing in these children. And she said, I need you to take this little girl and run out the back door. There's some bad guys who are coming to take her. And if they take her, she'll be sold into prostitution. And she said, run, someone will find you, just hide her. Just, we'll find you, run. And I remember I had a 6-year-old girl over my shoulders and just running out the back door, running across the rice paddies, running through the slum areas, and I'm going, what am I into? And later on, finding out the story, she was then placed in a safe house. She grew up in an orphanage, came from a broken family. The guy who was coming to get her was her father. He was going to sell her. And he already had the transactions lined up. He had all these guys who were going to use her and exploit her. And
that story epitomizes who Asian Pacific Children's Fund is, and what our heart is. It's rescuing children in need. Now, let me tell you something it used to frustrate me. How many kids in the third world, Asia and so forth, are in desperate need, and what a low percentage of those we can really help. Yeah. And that, I found that very troubling. I mean, we're not helping even 1% of the millions of kids that are in desperate need for help. And somebody told me kind of a silly little story. It's called the starfish story.
Right. And you told me this growing up.
There's a guy, and starfish walks up on the beach, and they lay there in the sun, they die. And so this guy is out there, and there's thousands of these, and he's picking them up and he's throwing them back in one at a time. And another guy, well-meaning guy, I guess, walks up to him and says, this is ridiculous. There's thousands of starfish. You're not making any difference.
Yeah.
And the guy says, oh, okay. And he leans over and he picks up one more and he throws it out into the water. And he says, but I saved that one, didn't I?
Yeah.
That's the attitude we've had to take. That story has resonated with me, because we're going to do as much as we can, and the more we can build up supporters and fundraising, we'll save as many as we can. We won't save them all, but we're going to grow.
So fast forward, I was in Europe working, selling Indonesian jewelry on the streets. We met in Switzerland, actually, on a train. It was you, it was me, it was Mom. And we said, hey, you guys are involved in the Philippines. I'm in Indonesia and India. What would it look like if we formalized this? What would it look like if we started an organization?
Well, I think you ignited the idea, and we said, yeah, we could do more. We need to formalize this. And there was a reality. In order to help more children or more children's homes, we needed to find a way to raise money. We would do everything we could with our own, but that wasn't going to be enough.
Well, and on that point, in college, and I think you remember this, we would open a bank account, in my name or one of my buddies' names. We'd pass the hat, $100 here, $100 there. We'd go over with, $1,000 in that account, and we would actually leave that debit card with the home leader, so that they could pay for school fees, they could buy food. And we did that for 4 years. And it was actually when I was in business law, learning about some of those, the appropriate way to do things, I realized we need to actually do something different. This is not going to work long term. This isn't scalable. So that was the need for it as well.
The needs were great. So we began to generate put this on paper, on the napkin, right, on the train, and then we moved forward. I think it was early 2006. I could be wrong.
Yep.
And set up a 501c3 tax-exempt foundation and we called it Asian Pacific Children's Fund. This is when we started telling more people our story.
Yeah.
really the orphan story. So
Sure.
it began to grow. It began to grow very quickly.